Aloha. Today I wanted to speak on a few things, kind of connect them all together, and just reference a few other things. Like, I wanted to expand upon the distraction method of the Jeopardy Complex that I brought about in the last video, and link it into the current gun control stuff that's going on, talks, and related all to gold and silver as a consciousness, and all the other types of consciousness that can be understood as elemental, like breaking it down to an element and seeing like what's normal. So gold would be like the empowered, peaceful, human nature space of consciousness, thought patterns, interactions with each other. It's including the worst of the worst, because in order to have the best of the best of anything, you have to have the balance of the understandings of everything. So there's the yin and the yang process. There's the like the pyramids of the Sri Yantra, like intertwining. There's all these balances in the universe that we have, and in a polarized sort of reality, in order to control large groups of people, the focus gets shifted to one particular version of reality. And relating to the gold and silver I was thinking about last night is like, the gold and silver goes back into, like, you can look at like the Wizard of Oz stuff and everything, but I was looking more towards like the Yellow Brick Road and the silver slippers. Is it changed it to the ruby slippers with the silver slippers, and then but I was really looking at all the stuff that's gold. So like understanding like a meditative space is gold, silence is golden, sirens in relation to your consciousness are like lead weight. They're like a fear instilling, constant bombardment of densities that are part of what is known today as like the silver screen. So that is a mentality to make you think and feel like the boxed in Jeopardy Complex reality is silver, and the celebrities, or when you make it in the American dream or any kind of making it on the monetary or fiat currency level, is like the golden space. That's all part of a box of physical reality confusion and just straight up lies. So like silence is golden, then loud noise and constant bombardment of distractive energies would be like lead weight. And you can see how much of our reality is maxing out at like a copper alchemy at best, as far as in relation to like a silver and a gold, because the silver is like one step down from gold. If you can feel out what that feels like, interactions with people, jobs, if you have like a silver job, or if you have like a gold job, like relating to who you are and what you really, your essence is. Just like you can see like a meditative space is like a golden moment, or like in waking life, if they say the holy moment, like interactions with an individual, like taking a moment to just be in that space as like creator to creator, having that interactive heartbeat of silence and just being there and alive, and not having any judgments or any kind of anything in between there. There's no separation. So separation can be seen as, or the manipulation of separation can be seen as like a lead weight when it gets installed as a control measure. And then like the television itself, and the television consciousness with the celebrities, Hollywood, music industry, uh, the political game, the military-industrial complex mentality. All of these are coming through what is known as the silver screen. But that is a psychological, like a subliminal message to make you think like, oh, this is okay. Like this is, you know, um, just one step down from gold. But when you really think about it, it's less than copper. Like as far as elementals would be concerned, if you are relating them to like a consciousness, and then to expand it even more, so you would be able to see like the everything around us that's lead weight. So you have like, you know, people that could be lead weight. If you're in a team, on a team or something, and somebody's always bringing everything down, or like trying to, like, you're only as strong as your weakest link. So if our strongest link right now, according to like the mainstream right now, is the military and the political scene and the president and all that, then we're in some, you know, some fucked up um, futures coming up. And right now it's shifting the status quo. The status quo has always been in our favor, the people's favor. We've always outnumbered everybody, but the status quo psychologically needs to shift, and things like the silver screen idea implant is one of the ideas that needs to be shifted out of the reality. So if silence is golden, meditative spaces is golden, interactions that are beyond the ego, beyond the physical reality, beyond the emotional body, like, and including all of that stuff, is if all that feels a certain way, then you can see how the distraction of the television is just straight up lead weight being pawned off as silver, and keeping people away from the goals, like I was talking about before, the 4 layers of power. Like owning your space, owning your essence, owning who you are, and knowing where your roots are and where your culture comes from, and who you, like knowing all of your dances, like all of your harmonies in your blood and in your psyche, in your family. If you know all that, then you can stand strong in your space. So when you have things like the education system, which is meant to keep you hating yourself, and Hollywood, which is meant to keep you hating yourself. It's the racist white supremacy program that is designed to make you think, oh, this is the way things are. This is the way things are supposed to be. This is the only way it can be. It's like I was thinking about the gun control stuff that was just on about Barack Obama talking about, gun control this, gun control that, and then the Republicans say, oh, he's trying to take your guns, he's trying to mess with the Second Amendment and all this other stuff. It's a game, it's a bad movie, it's a bad film with horrible actors, and the only way out of that silver screen is to step into your golden space. Like, you have to understand, like, the depths of your golden roots in order to get out of the silver screen. And one easy way is to get out of the television, like destroy it, like break the television if you have a television. And if you don't want to like physically do it, you can break it psychologically by disassembling the symbolism in there, and then you can disassemble it that way. And then like an easy way would just be to destroy it and break it down and throw it out. But some people work like that and some people don't. Some people would actually need to disassemble it that way. Otherwise they will have like because there's like an addiction space there, they would have like withdrawal symptoms from it. So they need to disassemble. A way to get, let go of the withdrawal symptoms would be to disassemble the symbolism in there, and then eventually you won't have the desire anymore to even be a part of it. To be a part of it, let alone even watch it or interact with it anymore. It'll just kind of like trickle away. So like gun control, so the lead weight that comes through that silver screen is stuff like talking about gun control, which is automatically giving your power away to a shallow ass idea that they're talking about the Constitution and all this, and who's they that they're saying this, all this stuff, and where's all this stuff coming from. On top of that, gun control is like the dead skin on a cancer patient. That's what gun control is. It's like, worry about the dead skin. We got to sweep up this dead skin around here and, make sure that there's no more dead skin, getting in people's food. It's just the dust particles. It's like, sweep up all this dead skin of these cancer patients. Meanwhile, they're never saying anything about the chemotherapy, never saying anything about where the cancer came from, never saying anything about who keeps the cancer agenda, the medical industry, the cancer industry. And to boot, there's the military industrial complex, who just wants to expand its control measures on the populace by making more paperwork for you to sign off on with your distractive voting ideas on stuff like gun control. So gun control is the dead skin of a cancer patient, and they're never talking about where the guns came from, who's the psychology that's adding up to, first of all, the false flags, second of all, the people who are killing each other on the streets because of these problems that have been sent down through generations over time. And then the separation that comes from your family, like the installations of that into the family mechanism through the culture, and then seeing that nobody's allowed to really understand their golden internal self without understanding their family connections, their interactions with their family. So you won't be able to really understand your golden space if you don't understand your mother and your father. And then when you have kids that are growing up in the inner cities without fathers, then you're automatically cutting that individual in half from their full potential, from understanding themselves, because we are standing on the shoulders of our parents before us, just like they're standing on the shoulders of their grandparents or their parents. And beyond that, it kind of gets repetitive over time. But to really understand your golden space, you have to first at least understand the 3 generations before you, to understand who you are, because we're still cleaning up stuff from the generations past that came through stuff like the silver screen, the lead weight that's been passed down from lead bullets that are still wedged in slaves that are buried in shallow graves down south, that are still being walked on down the street in the shell mound areas, and in the malls that get built on top of actual ancient burial grounds. So there's all these different variables that are a part of the separation from yourself. And we won't be able to understand ourselves if we don't understand the lessons that our mother and father haven't understood yet, that they passed on to us, to just think, just to get by, just figure out how to work it out. This is in our genes. This is this is what this family's all about, and you just work with this stuff. These are all lies, because they're based upon a system that is artificial. So a lot of these things that people call in your genes, they're not in your genes. They're in the artificial version of your genes. They're like a artificial code. And so when you start to, without judgment, start to piece together the understandings of your mother and your father, and how you are a representation of those two, and then how they are a representation of their father and their mother, and what they had to go through, and what they learned and what they didn't learn, and how everything is just passed down to the child's generation. Meanwhile, the so-called powers that be are still playing the games of manipulation through ideas like the Jeopardy Complex, which is just a bombardment of manipulative information to keep you thinking that you're in a game that you're a part of, but you're not. You're in an ancient system that is very rooted in magic and alchemy and your blood and your culture and your psyche, and it involves various generations. It involves your psychological day-to-days. It involves your kids, your parents, your grandkids, or your grandparents, and directly into stuff that's going on in the day-to-day, like gun control, like the idea of that even, and where this control is coming from, and all this, like it's just one step into another. So I kind of was just all over the place right now, I know that, but I think I got to like reference what I really wanted to speak on, as far as like everything that was kind of like piecing together. And it was just really like that's kind of just like a rundown of what the Jeopardy Complex is. Keep everybody in jeopardy, and then separated from themselves, and then they'll be separated from each other, and then can be install all kinds of information into that space with the game itself. So I'll leave it there until next time. Peace, love, and harmony.